You are all welcome to this course. I want to welcome each and every one of you. It is a great thing to take a step into the world of cybersecurity. We live in a world whereby there is an increase in cyber attacks, cyber crime, and so on and so forth. And so there is a need for us to protect ourselves, protect individuals, protect government organizations in this digital world from cyber attack, from damage and unauthorized access. And that is why this course is very important. And I want to welcome you, for especially those who are been in the world of cybersecurity before, or even those who are aspiring to be in the world of cybersecurity. I welcome each and every one of you to this course. And in this course, we'll be looking at the fundamental of cybersecurity. What is actually cybersecurity, what it entails, and why we need to study cybersecurity. And this is what we'll be looking at in this course. So if you have not actually heard of cybersecurity before, if you are new to the digital world, if you are new to the technological world, cybersecurity is important because it helps us to protect ourselves, it helps us to preserve ourselves, it helps us also to prevent attacks, damage, and so on and so forth from malicious actors or malicious actors that are actually doing things for their own sake and also looking for a way to exploit us. And we are all vulnerable, having in the world where we have so many digital footprints, from our social media handles, our social media platforms, to our financial institutions, and so many things we do online this day. We need to know how to protect ourselves. And as I said, this course is start from the beginner to the advanced aspect of cybersecurity, and we'll be focus more on cybersecurity related to ethical hacking, digital forensic, and cybersecurity analysis. But for now, let us look at the fundamental of cybersecurity, what cybersecurity is all about. Now, cybersecurity simply means an aspect of modern technologies that involves protecting computer systems, network, and data from digital attacks, unauthorized access, and damage. That is what cybersecurity simply means: protecting oneself, preserving oneself, or network or computer systems or data from digital attacks, unauthorized access, and damage. Now, in protecting ourselves, it has to do with protections of information. Cybersecurity ensures that sensitive data remain confidential and is not accessed or disclosed to unauthorized party. That is to say that whosoever do not supposed to have access to our information should not. And it also has to not just do with protections of information, which has to do with confidentiality. It also has to do with the integrities of our systems on our network. It also helps us to maintain the accuracies and reliabilities of data and systems, preventing unauthorized modifications. So it helps to prevent unauthorized modification to our system, to our data, to our infrastructures, digital infrastructure, and it helps us to be able to understand how to guarantee that information and systems are accessible to authorized users as needed, preventing destruction caused by cyber attack. So it makes possible the availabilities of resources, that whenever we need a particular resources, whenever we need a particular device, or how we need to have access to our network, we should have to do that. So that is what cybersecurity is all about, and it is very important in preventing data breaches. Understanding cybersecurity, or understanding the importance of cybersecurity, help us to prevent data breaches, protecting personal and financial information from being stolen or compromised, which lead to identity theft and financial loss. So it also helps us to secure business operations, ensuring that businesses can operate smoothly without interruptions caused by cyber attack, which can lead to damage of business, finance and reputation. Just imagine if someone and a malicious hacker or a threat actor actually hack into your social media handle and start impersonating you, and therefore it can cause so many harm, or try to rubbishing your reputations and that you have built for a very long time, which is very damaging. So it is important that each and every one of us have, whether you are going into cyber security as a career path or you need it as a skill, it is important that each and every one of us have a good understanding of what cyber security is all about. Now, it helps us also to protect national security. It helps us to safeguard critical infrastructures and government data from cyber attacks that could undermine the national securities and public safety. So cyber security is important, and that is why we all need to put our hand and to learn the tricks, the strategies and the techniques to protect ourselves in this digital world. It enhances consumers' trust, building trust among consumers and clients through a commitment of protecting their data and privacy. Just imagine you sign up for an organization and along the line you discover that your information is being linked to that organization. You will actually lose trust in that organization, and you will not like to do business with that organization again. And as the organization as you don't want to do business with that organization again, so the organization is the economy of the nations of the society is actually being affected, and that is why cyber security is of utmost importance to each and every one of us. Now there are some key elements. There are some key things that we need to understand in cyber security, which is called the principle of cyber security. We have to talk about the principle of cyber security. It helps us to understand what cybersecurity is all about. It helps us to understand the core foundation and also the backbone of cybersecurity. Now, fundamental of understanding cybersecurity are the concept of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is often referred to as the CIA triad of cybersecurity. This principle actually forms the backbone of its effective security measures, and that is why they are important. Now, cybersecurity centered on three things, which is confidentiality, which has to do with ensuring that information is accessible only to those authorized to have access to it. That information is accessible only to those who are authorized to have access to it, which include protection from unauthorized access and uses, protecting data on system either in transit, in process, or static. So it also has to do with integrity. Integrity has to do with safeguarding the accuracy and completeness of information and processing methods. It includes the detections and of alterations that occurs in storage, in transit, and in process. That is to say that it helps us to monitor modifications in data, in systems, in infrastructures, and that is why integrity is important. It also ensures that, and also another one is that availability, and from the onset we talk about different areas that our resources need to be available. So availability ensures that authorized users have access to information and associate assets when required. In availability, it includes control for acceptable level of performance, fault tolerance, has to do with preventions of data loss and destruction, reliable backups and redundancies. So this is what the backbone of cyber security. Having understand the core principle of cyber security, Let us look at some key elements of cybersecurity. Some of the things that we use to protect ourselves, some of the things that we hold on to as our tools, and also our strategy, and so it has to do with firewalls, intrusion detections, and prevention systems. This actually act as a barrier to block unauthorized access and monitor for suspicious activity within the network. Remember, we talk about confidentiality, and also we talk about how it helps us to preserve our information from unauthorized access. So firewalls and intrusion detection or prevention systems help us, it acts as a barrier to be able to block unauthorized access to our systems, to our digital infrastructure. Encryption is another element of cybersecurity that ensures that data transmitted over the network or stored on a device is unreadable to unauthorized users. So encryption is another element of cybersecurity that we. It also helps us. Another element is to reduce access control, which helps us to manage who can access our information, have access our information and systems, ensuring that only authorized individuals have the necessary permission. Access control has to talk about permission, privilege, and so on and so forth. Now we also talk about some of the elements of cybersecurity have to do with regular update and patching to keep softwares and systems up to date to protect against known vulnerabilities and exploits. And security awareness is also important, or is an important element of cybersecurity. We carry out security awareness training to educate users on how to recognize and respond to potential threats and vulnerabilities. So these are different elements of cybersecurity. As we continue in this course, we will get to know more about other elements and how to also protect ourselves in this digital age. Now let us look at some type of cyber threat that we might be exposed to. There are some cyber threats that come in various forms, which prevent and each of them which prevent us or which open us to cyber attack, and it presents unique challenges to security. And understanding this threat help us to develop effective defense strategies. What is actually threat? Threat simply means something that has the potential to cause harm. That is what threat is all about. Something that has potential to cause harm. So please understand all these basic terminologies. So some of the threats that are common that we face is called malware. Malware is actually a malicious software that is designed to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access to systems, and it damages systems, it disrupts systems, it gains unauthorized access to systems. Remember, one of the core principles of cybersecurity is to prevent unauthorized access. So malware is one of the threats that we face daily as individual, as organizations, as a society, or a country. Now there are different types of malware depending on the one that the malicious actors use. We have viruses or virus. Virus is a malicious software that is designed that can be able to spread itself. When it gets to your network, it gets to your system, it can replicate itself. So that is virus. And we also have Trojan. Trojan is actually a malware that behaves like a legitimate software, but also cause what? Harm. It masquerades itself. It's acted as if it is a good software. Yeah, it might be the product or the software might be working as the author, but behind the scene it is causing more harm. We also have another type of malware we can talk about is worm, rootkit, and so on and so forth. So when we get to that aspect, we'll learn more about malware, especially when we get to penetration testing. We'll learn more about malwares and malware attacks. So we also have social engineering. Social engineering is a manipulative tactic that uses that a threat actor use to trick individuals into divulging confidential information, into revealing confidential information, something that's supposed to be private. A social engineering actually has to work against confidentiality principles of cyber security. We have various aspects of social engineering, starting for smishing, whereby the attacker send a malicious SMS to their intending target, and therefore if the target will fall victims, the malicious actor will be able to exploit him or her. We also have a type of social engineer called phishing. This is where the malicious actor actually use voice principle to actually make a call it victim, try to deceive or to trick him or her to reveal sensitive information. We also have dumpster diving. This is where the malicious actor go to the waste bin to pick sensitive to pick trashes, and also to look for sensitive information from trashes. So we have different social engineering aspects, like phishing, like as I have talked about phishing, like whaling, and so on and so forth. So when we get to penetration testing, we'll get to know more about social engineering. So another one is called ransomware. Ransomware is also a type of malware that encrypt data and demand for payment for the discretion key. So we have malware whereby the attacker or the threat actor actually encrypt your data, or encrypt the victim's data and demand for payment before he or she will be able to release the discretion word key. There is another one called man-in-the-middle attacks. Man-in-the-middle attack occur when an attacker intercepts and alter communication between two parties without their knowledge. In man-in-the-middle attack, we have different aspects of man-in-the-middle attack. We have eavesdropping and session hijacking. Eavesdropping is when the attacker intercepts private communications and steals sensitive information, while session hijacking is when the attacker takes control of a user's session, typically in web application, to gain unauthorized access. So these are different aspects of man-in-the-middle attack. We also have what called DDoS attack. DDoS attack simply means distributed denial of service attack. It overloads a system with traffic, rendering it unavailable to users. It sends zombies to network, to systems, making it to behave as if there are thousands of users logging into that particular network at the time, and therefore it slows down the speed of the network. Sometimes it render the network unavailable to the legitimate user at a particular time. So we also have what called session SQL injection. SQL injection involves inserting or injecting malicious SQL query into a database, input a field by exploiting vulnerability in the software to execute arbitrary SQL command. We have various SQL injection techniques that they use. We have zero-based SQL injections, whereby they exploit errors message returned by the database to gain information about the structure of the database. We also have blind SQL injection. This type of SQL injection exploits the database without any message from the server, making it harder to actually detect. And another aspect of SQL injection, SQL simply means structural query language. So another aspect of SQL injection is union-based SQL injection, which is a technique that leverages the union SQL operator to combine the result of two or more selected statements into a single result by allowing the attackers to retrieve data from other tables within the database. And if you look at the structure, the diagram over here, you see how the attacker actually input an SQL, inject the SQL and try to get information from the database and to itself. So these are different type of SQL injection, structural query attack. We also have password attack. Password attack aim to obtain an individual password through various means, such as brute forcing attack, where the attacker uses automated tools to guess password by trying every possible combination. Dictionary attack, the attacker uses a list of common passwords to attack to gain access. And there's another aspect of password attack which is called credential stuffing. The attacker uses stolen credentials from one site in an attempt to gain access to other sites. It could also be a rainbow table attack under password attack, where the attacker uses pre-computed tables containing hash values of common passwords. By comparing this hash value to the hash password stored in the system, the attacker can quickly identify the original password. And these are different aspects of password attack that we face on daily basis, directly or indirectly, as an individual, as an organization, as a cybersecurity expert, or as those who are searching for solution against cyber attack. There is another aspect of cyber threats that we face called advanced persistent threats. Advanced persistent threats operate in different way, but the core goal of advanced persistent threat is to prolong and targeted cyber attack, during which the intruder gain access to a network and remain undetected for an extended period of time. Therefore, the attacker, when it has access to the system, when it has access to the network, it find its way to remain anonymous, or find its way to remain undetected for a long time, carrying out his enterprise or carrying out his task. And some of the advanced persistent threats we face is surveillance and data exfiltration. The attacker monitor the network and gradually siphon of sensitive data. So, or command or control server, the attacker establish a back channel, what we call backdoor, to communicate with the compromised network. These are different advanced persistent threats that we face on daily basis. Another one is the PHP attack, whereby what we will refer to as the cross-site scripting. The cross-site scripting is a type of injection attack where malicious scripts are inserted into normally harmless and trusted websites. Now we have different type of cross-site scripting. We have the store SSS, which is cross-site scripting. The malicious script is permanently stored on the darkest server. Or we also have what we call a reflected cross-site scripting. The malicious script is reflected off a web server, such as in a search result or in a message or in an error message, just like the diagram actually showed here, where the attacker send a PHP script and then to the website, and then the website return a feedback, and so on and so forth. These are different aspects of cyber threat that we face on daily basis. Another aspect of cyber threat we face on daily basis is what we call insider threats. Insider threats involve malicious action taken by individuals within an organization or society who have authorized access to its system, data infrastructure, network infrastructure, digital infrastructure, and data. We have different aspects of or different type of insider threat. We have the malicious insider. It could be an employee or a contractor who intentionally exploits their access for personal gain or to cause harm. This type of insider actually carry out this task intentionally. They want to cause harm or they want to do it for personal gain or for personal use. Now we also have unintentional insider. Unintentional insider are employees or individuals who accidentally compromise security. They accidentally compromise security posture or compromise the security settings of the organizations or of the society. So it can, just as we also say that no one is actually above mistake. So we all make mistakes. So these are all intentional what? Insiders. Phishing is, as I told you, is another aspect of cyber attack. Phishing is also part of social engineering attack that aim to trick individuals into revealing sensitive information such as usernames, password, credit card detail. We have various aspects of phishing ranging from email phishing, where the attacker sends fraudulent email to appear to come from a reputable source, prompting recipient to click on the malicious link or download malicious attachments. It could also be a spear phishing, whereby a more targeted form of phishing where attackers customize their messages to a specific individual organization, often using personal information to make the attack more convincing. Or it could even be clone phishing, where the attacker creates a nearly identical copy of a legitimate email or website and previously sent by a trusted entity, replacing any link or attachment with the malicious one. Whaling is another aspect of phishing. In this type of phishing, the attacker actually target high-profile individuals within an organization, such as the executive or senior managers, often also to convince the junior staff. So these are different aspects of cyber attack that we face. We also have zero-day exploitation. In zero-day exploitation, the attacker take advantage of previously unknown vulnerability in software which developers have no opportunity to fix before they are discovered. The attacker exploits the vulnerability before the software vendor releases a patch. So we need to be careful about each of these vulnerability, and that is why I'm bringing into our notice. And these are different aspects that will be treating within this course. So please let us stay tuned as we continue. Having understand the fundamental of cyber security, we want to also look at access control fundamental. When we talk about access control fundamental, we talk about authentication, authorization, and accounting. This is often referred to as the AA, or the fundamental concept of cybersecurity for securing systems and managing access control. Remember, when we talk about the principle of cybersecurity, we talk about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You cannot keep confidentiality or have integrity or access control or availability without actually having an access control. Access control is what actually limits authorization, limit permissions, restrict unauthorized access to network, to systems, and so on and so forth. So it is important we understand what access control is all about. And now in dealing with access control, there are three main things that we focus on access control, which is authentication, authorization, and accounting. Now, authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a user, device, or system before granting access. It ensures that the entity requesting access is who it claims to be. This actually has to help to reduce unauthorized access to system, network, and keep data's information confidential. So in authentication, we have different ways we carry out authentication. Either it will be a password based authentication. This is when the user provides a secret password that matches the one stored in the system. And so this also has to do with password management, understanding how to create a strong password, unique password that enhance security. Just as we talk about password management, that for your password to be strong, or it must have an uppercase, it must have a lowercase, it must have a combination of number and also symbols, special symbols, for you to sometimes you can also make use of or passphrase or passcode. So there are different password policies or password based authentication we can carry out, like normal password or passcode, which is what we refer to as PIN or passphrase. Now we can also make use of multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. It requires two or more verification methods. Typically, sometimes the user known password, sometimes it could be a user has a security token, or sometimes the user might need to use biometric verification as a second factor or a multi-factor authentication. It could be also an OTP that has been sent to verify that yes, this is actually the user. So can also be in authentication, and also be biometric authentication. Biometric authentication uses unique biological characters such as fingerprint or facial recognition to verify identity. So it helps to verify identity based on either fingerprint or facial recognition, because we know that no two individuals have the same fingerprints or have the same facial recognition. It can also be token based authentication, which involves uses of token, which can be physical token like smart card, or digital token like software token to authenticate users. This is one aspect of access control that we use to reduce or to restrict unauthorized access to our systems, to our network, to our infrastructure. It could also be authorization. Authorization has to do with determining whether an authenticated user has permission to access a resources or perform an action. It ensures that all users have appropriate access level. This has to do basically with permissions, and also has to do with regulating the access, the permission you give to each users. Now it could be a role-based access control. When you mean by role-based access control, it has to do with access right based on users' role within the organization, limiting access to only those resources necessary for their role. For example, in an organization where you have a manager, you have a secretary, and you have the front desk or the receptionist, each of them have different authorizations or different role within the organization, and therefore their level of authorization is not the same, and therefore as in carrying out or in setting security infrastructure, there must be a role-based access control. It could also be a role control access control list, whereby you define which user or system processes have access to specific resources and what operation they can perform. If, for example, you have in your system you have an admin, you have a guest user, and so on and so, each of them have different roles they are playing, and therefore each of them have been limited by the roles that they are playing. It could also be attribute-based access control. Attribute-based access control uses attributes like user attribute, resource attribute, environmental condition to grant access to dynamic based on policies. So this has to do with the attribute, the characteristic, the character of the person, the character of the individual, that will determine how access will be granted. So it can also be policy-based access control. Each organization has their own policy. Each society has their own policy that have been established before now, that this is this in this company, in this organization, this is the security process, this is what you should do and what you should not do. So it could be a policy-based access control which specify condition under which access is being granted. It's often used in conjunction with attribute-based access control and role-based access control. So this is also, it could also be accounting. Accounting here simply means knowing, also known as auditing. It simply means tracking and recording users' activity within a network, within a system, within a digital infrastructure. This helps to monitor the usage, detect anomalies, and ensure compliance with security policy. It has to do with monitorings and evaluations. And under accounting, we have log management. This is where we collect and manage log that record users' activities, system event, and access attempt. Logs are essential for auditing and for forensic purposes and for forensic analysis. It could also be an audit tray. Audit tray has to do with detailed records of system activities, so which can be reviewed to ensure compliance with system policies and investigate incidents like when who log into the system, to the network last, when did this particular person log in and log out, what an activity has been done and what activity has not been done. So it can also be usage monitoring, which continuously monitor system usage to detect unusual patterns or unauthorized activities that may indicate security breaches or threats within the network, within the system, within the infrastructure of an organization. Then has to do also with reporting, generating reports from logs and audit trail to provide insight into users' activities, assess patterns, and also potential security issues or intent or threats. So these are the fundamental of access control or management that we ought to understand and we ought to know. And as we go on, we'll carry out all these things in a practical means to see how we can restrict access, grant access to many, and also restrict access to others. Having understand that, access control talk about threat modeling. Now, if you cannot remember, I told you about different type of threats that we have, that we are exposed to. Now, this threat modeling has to do with the proactive approach that we use or that we carry out or that we prepare to identify and address potential security threats before they can be exploited. It's actually help because it helps with the organization to understand the attack surface, the identity, vulnerabilities, and implement effective security defense. It's just like a proactive defense approach that you put in place before an actual attack occurs or before a threat actually becomes a reality. And threat modeling is important because it has to do with systematic identification of threat, providing a structured method to identify potential threats to an organization's asset and consider various attack vectors and methods. It also helps us to understand attack surface, help in understanding different points at which an attacker could potentially exploit the system and allow for comprehensive security strategy. It is important also for prioritizing security effort, enhancing security designs, and facilitate communications and continuous improvement within and encouraging ongoing evaluations and improvement of security measures as new threats continue to emerge and systems also evolve. So these are the importance of threat modeling, and from there we look at common cybersecurity standards. Yes, everything in life has a standard. There are some procedure, there are some standard that we follow in cybersecurity that is actually very, very important to us. And That is what is cybersecurity. Provide guidance or guidelines and best practices to help organizations and individuals reduce their cybersecurity risk. These standards are essential for establishing robust security policies and ensuring compliance with regulations and protecting sensitive information, and so on and so forth. Some of these standards are called the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which provides cybersecurity framework and comprehensive guide to help organizations manage and reduce cybersecurity threats. Aside the National Institute of Standardizations and Technology, we also have ISO. ISO is an international standard that specifies requirements for establishing and implementing, maintaining, and continually improve an information security management system. It actually provides leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluations, and improvement. Take corrective action to improve the information system management, information security management systems. You also have what called Center for Internet Security. This has to do with control, that is set control for best practice for securing IT system and data against the most passive attack. It provides basic control, foundational controls, and organization control within the information security. We also have Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, which is set to provide security standard designed to ensure that all companies that accept, process, and store or transmit credit card information maintain a secured environment. It build and maintain a secure network, protect cardholder data, maintain a vulnerability management programs, and so on and so forth. These are actually some standards that we follow in cybersecurity to carry out our cybersecurity task, or to protect ourselves from cyber threats and cyber crime. We cannot end this fundamental without talking about a very important aspect of cybersecurity, which is actually the foundation of cybersecurity, called networking. Networking is important because it is the backbone of modern communication, and it enables devices to communicate and share information effectively. Understanding the fundamental of networking is crucial for actually getting the network functions and their essential components. Now we'll talk there are some different components of network, like devices, media, protocols, networking network interface card, and software. Devices, there are different devices that we use in computing today, or in the digital world, such as computer, smartphone, server, network hardware such as router, switches, and hub. We also use some media like Ethernet cable, fiber optics, or wireless like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. We can talk about protocols, rules that dictate how data are being transmitted into and received, or the hardware component that connect devices to the network, and even the software component like the operating systems and the management and other software like application software needed to make computer to interact with one another and share resources and data within itself. Now we have different type of network. We have the nano network. It says nano network is actually a small network within a place. It's a very small network within a place. We also body area network. Body area network has to do with the network that actually detects, example like our tracker, and so on and so forth, are actually body network. We have personal area network, like maybe peer-to-peer aspect of of network, like we connecting our phone to our laptop, or connecting our Bluetooth to our laptop, and so on and so forth. It's referred to as a personal area network. We also have a local area network. Local area network is a type of network that is being connected within a small geographical location. It could be within a workspace, it could be within a little space organization, or it could also be within just a small place. We also have campus area network. Campus area network is a type of network that connects two or more local area network within a larger geographical environment, like campuses, universities, polytechnic, and bigger organizations. Then we have metropolitan area network. Is a network that connects a city. It's a network that can connect a metropolis or a larger aspect. So it's bringing two or more different local area network together to actually achieve that. We also have radio access network. Radio access network is a type of network that enables us to communicate with one another via the telephones and so on and so forth. Then we have the wide area network, which is connect a continent, connect countries, connect the world together, such as internet. So these are different type of network that we have. We also have network topology. Network topology is actually referred to how the arrangement of the network, how the network has been arranged during connection processes. Now we have a ring network. A ring network means that the whole network is being connected in a ring format. We also have the mesh network, just as you can see the diagram. You also have a star network. Fully connected network is when two or more network are being combined together. Or we have a line network, tree network, and bus network. These are different network topology that we have, and this is actually, that's why sometimes if you go to the remote area, you see that you have a specific network but you cannot have another one, because perhaps it could be based on how the network topology is, or the connection within a particular environment. So talking about networking, computer cannot actually communicate together, cannot actually understand one another if there is nothing like network address. Network address is actually crucial for identifying devices and ensuring accurate data delivery. We have various network address, which is referred to as the IP address and then the MAC address. IP address is the internet, referred to as the internet protocols. Internet protocol, that it provides a unique IP, a unique number that each device is being recognized as. And we have different versions of IP. We have a version 4, IPv4, which is referred to the Internet Protocol version 4, and also we have version 6, which is referred to Internet Protocol version 6. These different versions are all very important, and each device has their own unique IP address. And we also have, aside the different version IP address, we have static IP address and we have public IP address. Static IP address is that particular IP address that actually comes with your devices, but public IP address is the one that has been assigned to you by your internet service provider, your ISP. IP can also be classified or grouped as private or public IP address, or as static or dynamic IP address. So these are different IP address and different classifications that we'll see within the network. We also talk about MAC address. These are actually hardware unique number. Each hardware have a unique number, like your network adapters. They have a unique number that is used to actually reference to them, and they all play important role in helping systems network connect, devices connect together, interact with one another within the network. Now IPv4, as I was talking about IPv, now IP address and is important because, as I told you about, it help actually to connect network to one another. There's another one called subnet mask. Subnet mask define the network and the host portion of an IP address, telling us which one is actually the host IP address and which one is actually the network IP address. So these are different things that we need to understand in carrying out, in coming into the field of cyber security. Now, how does data is transferred, or how does data is being transmitted within the network? The process of moving data across a network involves several key concepts and techniques. Example like packet, switches, and routing. Packets are actually a small bit of or a smaller unit of packet that is being transmitted on the network. A smaller unit. Now data is broken is a smaller unit, which is called what? Packet. So each packet contains a portion of data and control information, and this packet can be in bytes or in bits. It can actually be in bytes or in bits. And then switching method of directing packet to their destination. We have different switching methods: cycle switching, packet switching, and message switching. These are what actually tell the message. This actually tell the packet that is being transferred or it be in the process. Say this is this is where you should go, and this is where you should know. For example, if you are chatting with two different persons on WhatsApp now, or the message is going to two different persons, so it is as a help of the switch that actually tell the packet, say this is where you should go to and this is where you should not go to. Then routing is a process of selecting path in which the network is a process of selecting path in a network along which to send data packets. So data or network use router as algorithms and protocol to determine the best path it should actually take within the network. So there are some common data devices that we use, like we have routers actually connect multiple network and direct data traffic between them. We have data routing. Router can be used for routing, for segmentation, for IP address management, for connectivity, and even determine the quality of services being provided. Just as you see in the picture or on your diagram, this is actually router. It helps to give connection to devices within a network. It can also be switch. Just as I told you before, that we have a switch that is help us to actually connect devices together and ensure effective communications and data transfer. The importance of switch is that it helps in data forwarding, MAC address management, network segmentation, how to control the bandwidth and also the layers within the network. This is actually what the switch is used for. We also have hubs. Hub is just like a switch, but the difference between a hub and a switch is that hub actually broadcasts its messages. For example, if we are 10 that are connected to a network and we are using hub, if a message is being sent from the server, each and every one of us will receive that message at a time. But if you are using switches, it is actually going to the selected target. So the message is actually going to the designated target, not to everybody. So hub broadcasts why switch does not broadcast. So it actually, all of them are actually used for security. And also another thing that we use in networking is what called firewalls. Firewall provides protect a network by controlling what goes out and what comes in within the network. It provides different functions like traffic filtering, access control, threat prevention, network monitoring, and so on and so forth. We could have both hardware firewall and also a software firewall. So we have different firewalls, hardware or software, depending on the one that you are using and depending on the one you are conversant with, and also depend on the nature of the network that you want to actually put in place. So network security is also very important, because it helps us to protect computer from intruders, whether targeted attackers or opportunistic malware. It actually have a good way to protect ourselves from non-repudiation, provide less privilege, defense in depth, and securities in design. So these are different things that we do in cybersecurity: regular patching, network segmentation, strong password, multi-factor authentication, encryptions, firewalls, and so on and so forth. So cybersecurity is very important, and it is good that we understand all this. Thank you. As you pay attention to this little fundamental of cybersecurity, stay tuned as we continue in different areas of cybersecurity, starting from bash scripting, Linux, and so on and so forth. I assure you that at the end of this class, at the end of this training, that you become good in cybersecurity, learning all the tricks, the strategies, and the techniques to become an expert in cybersecurity. Thank you very much, and see you in the next class or videos.